Well, folks, it's a special summer edition of Dirty Mo Dough. I'm back from vacation, although a little sun-kissed and tanned. Trav, not much has changed. The mountains are still blue in Travis's world.
Steve, how you feeling with summer being over for you?
I'll tell you, it's a rough. I like an early summer, but it ends right now. Off to Iowa this weekend, but it was a great trip. Great trip. Burton and I won our flight and our member guest down at Kiowa. Big moment. We got a nice little cutting board for that, and we got eliminated in the second round of the shootout. And
we wondered what you did because we didn't hear from him, and I'm like, if he would have won, we would have got a text message.
No, so the truth is, man, it's a bougie joint. So it's like you walk with caddies and stuff. So I just, to be honest, I text my wife and I say, hey, we're playing pretty good. I kind of just want to be in the moment. This is my new thing this year is I'm on my phone for way too much as it is. So I shut my phone off and I left it in the locker room. And I walked without my phone and I played without my phone. And, I powered it back up, text my wife we're done. I powered it back on. I left it off all night for the shindig after. Like I was just enjoying the moment. It was a great time. I would love to blame Jeff, but I hit the lag putt known to man and left him a 4-foot slider. And even the caddy, who looked a lot like Tim's, by the way, the caddy looked at me. Now, you got to remember, we had played an 18-hole practice round, 45 holes of match. So we played a lot of golf together. And he looks at me and he goes, what the hell was that? And I was like, yeah, it was that bad, wasn't it? He goes, you haven't hit a putt that bad the whole time. I'm like, man, I'd like to blame the crowd, but I really think it's the mountains. I think the old Blue Mountains got me on that lag putt. I kind of hit the top of the golf ball. But it was a good time, great time. All the golf pros and stuff down at Kiowa do a great job. It's super inclusive. It's fun. From 80 and can barely walk to 20 and right out of college. They got everything in between, and they make it fun for everyone. But we haven't even brought up the fourth amigo of this group. Coming live from the beach house, it's the Professor.
I'm here.
Professor, it takes a lot. I'm not sure I would have walked off the beach for the pod. You're a better man than me. I think that one might have been a mail one in. That might have been a, hey, guys, you're just going to have to do this one on your own.
Yeah, I was hoping. Yeah. Nope. Anything for you, Stevie.
Well, you listen, your name in my phone has now been changed. It was Russ, then it was Professor. Now it's back to Russ, but now it's new Russ 2.0. And that is the degenerate gambling Russ. My man didn't know terms a year ago. Now they come firing across. I just looked at my phone will be on the nightstand, be buzzing. And my wife will be like, what is that? And I'm like, Russ has decided he's going to be a gambler tonight. And it'll just bzz, 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 bzz. I mean, it's nonstop.
Russ is a dog cussing Caitlin Clark before we started taping.
Oh, man.
She screwed me the other night. 10 points.
Man, she's laying down. Didn't make the Olympic team. She's done.
Dude, I told you, though. You were like, 25 points. I'm like, the over-under has moved to 17 from 19.
Yeah. But she came out and said that, this has really fired her up. So I was all excited. I thought, I'm firing away. And I fired away, and I missed every single one of them.
I'm going to just tell you right now, I am purely on the back of those Boston Celtics. I am climbed in the backpack. I am the big fan. I text you guys when they made the finals. I'm on them to win. I'm on them in a 4-0. I'm on them in a 4-1. I got them parlayed with the Panthers. I'm every which way known to man on the Celtics.
Speaking of Panthers, Tim's, you placed the Panthers bet, right?
Yeah, I had them to win money line and the under 5.5 in game 2. And boy, when they started fighting with 3 minutes to go and everyone's getting kicked out and there's power plays going, I thought that under was toast. But they held on 4-1. So,
well, hold on. You placed another Panthers bet though, football edition, right?
We did, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me hear what kind of crap this is.
No, you're going to want to get on this one.
So let me set the picture here. We're all up in the new Dirty Mo Media offices, and there's a ticker, sports ticker, that is just
feet
spitting out lines left and right.
A year ago, we couldn't have internet. Now we have a sports ticker?
We still don't have internet, but we have a sports ticker. And let me tell you, I saw Carolina Panthers season win total under 5.5 plus money, and I couldn't tap Travis's shoulder fast enough. I was like,
"Hold, please.
We need to place this." Yeah,
I'm gonna need a moment.
Yep,
that one
yep.
Under 5.5.
He said, "Let me look at the schedule," and I couldn't find 3 wins in there, let alone 5 or 6. So that was a hammer. It was plus 104 on FanDuel.
Well, not to do a mid-podcast bet, but let me go ahead and get that one wrapped up right now.
This sports ticker might just save our lives. I mean, this thing is amazing. Would have never found it without that thing just spitting across.
I got FanDuel under 5.5 plus money.
There you go.
I mean, I know they're in the division in the NFL, but they're the of the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They play the NFC East.
Should we be concerned that David Tepper's going to show up at Junior Motorsports tomorrow, wanting to know why we're talking bad about
Just
him?
don't put it on your marquee because he'll walk right in the bar and want to talk to the owner. I'm going to tell you. How did we do last week? Let's talk about it. Let's do a little Sonoma review. A lot of question marks with the repave. It definitely affected it. I will tell you guys, I was entertained. A lot of confusion early. Wasn't really necessary to follow. In the end, it was 19, 17, older tires, 5 coming on new tires. The race entertained me. What say you there, Timms? Were you entertained?
I was pretty entertained, yeah. I mean, a road course is a road course, but I was not expecting that many cautions, so that made it entertaining. And then the strategy comes into play with all those cautions. I don't think anyone knew really what to do, so that made it even more entertaining.
Did you make any money?
I did. I made money before the race even started.
Please tell the Logano story. This is the best story ever.
So we placed the Logano 40-1 on FanDuel. I saw 45-1s out there, so some people got on it better. But he wins the pole. I wake up Sunday morning, and I just check. I don't know why it caused me to check.
Like your alarm clock. You pick it up, see if you have any missed calls, and check my live action.
I forgot what I had. I'll be honest. I was drinking Saturday. I forgot what I had on the race. So I check. The cash out was 2.5 units more than what I put on it. And I'm like,
so you made up basically plus 150. You made
Yeah.
150% of your, like if you bet $10, you could have cashed out 25.
Yep, exactly what I did. So then I just said, yup. And then somebody tweeted at me simultaneously the screenshot, should I cash this out? And I go, yup, already did. And we made money before the race started.
Well, Dylan Anderson did not take your advice. He said, wish I would have. He had a $40 Logano for cash out. They were offering $70 to him. I don't know at what point it was. He didn't take it. So that bet is done.
You know what? You know what we'd like to say to Dylan? Thank you, because those losing bets are what give us our match money on all these sports bucks. So we really appreciate you supporting the cause.
We have a bad beat. Phil Fisher. This one's a tough one, guys. He had a 6-leg parlay. He hit Bell over Byron. He hit Elliott over Gibbs. He hit McDowell over Buescher. He hit Cindric over Hamlin. He hit Will Brown over Cam Waters. He missed Tyler Reddick over Allmendinger.
Ooh. Ooh. I was just thankful he didn't miss his Truex bet on the last lap.
Oh. I mean, that was
That's
brutal.
not a bad beat, but that's a beat. That just stings.
Also, Steve, thank you. Byron over Gibbs. Cash.
Hey, I usually tiptoe around here, but every once in a while, something just hits me right upside the head. Normally, it's Russell with a whiteboard, but in this situation, we kind of buried the lead, guys. Back to Iowa. I've never been to Des Moines. Flew in there once to go to Knoxville, but I've never stayed the night in Des Moines. But this week, I get 3 fun-filled nights in Des Moines, Iowa. I know I want to get into the race, but I'm kind of itching. Anybody going to the Open? I have to go out of town, or I would go. Anybody going down to Pinehurst?
Nope.
We're going to get into our golf bets because I may or may not have a few.
The notepad's out.
So let's get right in the week, though. We're going to Iowa. We already know it's going to be won by a tire tester. So go ahead, tell us who the 3 tire testers are, Professor.
Larson, Bell, and Keselowski were our tire testers.
And I'm going to tell you, there's no way. Professor didn't even send me the fancy predictor. I don't need it, because if it doesn't have Bell and Larson on the top 2, then it is then it's a lie, because Bell and Larson are the lock of the century to run well. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they are going to run great.
Well, you got the predictor. You just didn't look at it.
Let me guess. It's in my text message.
I'm not looking at my phone anymore.
Hold on. For all your listeners at home, do you get important work documents by text message? Because, I thought that's what they invented email for. Professor thinks the email is only for shopping online and getting your free shipping codes, but that's where I'd actually like my work information sent to me.
Are you done?
I did see 10:04 p.m. You had to put them kids to the beach after that. The kids to bed after that Italian ice, didn't they? You had them kids ripping.
They had 3 desserts yesterday.
All right, so Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Truex, Elliott, Keselowski, and Byron. So basically, I would call this the normal stacked top of the field. Kez is probably an addition. He's not normally our Tier 1 guys. And Chase jumps in and out of Tier 1. Is that fair assessment?
That's fair. I think Bell's a little higher this week too. I put a little. There's a little more factor in there for the tire test because there is no track history for Iowa, so there is a little more emphasis on that.
Now, I will say, though, not to interrupt you, but the reason this tire test might not be as valuable as it has been at other tracks is because the weather does look good and we have a Friday practice. So I think the tire test they probably will fire off a little quicker, but, everybody has that hour. So everybody's going to have quite a bit of time. It's not quite an hour, but everybody's going to have a little extra time to get the stuff dialed in.
I think we had an hour at didn't we have an hour at North Wilkesboro too for Joey Logano?
Well, did we? With all the rain, I don't know what we got and didn't get, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe we got the practice in and it rained out the heats.
It's fair.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Although after watching that, I think Timms could have won that one from the pole.
Oh, yeah.
Although this week's going to be a lot the same. So there's fresh pavement on each end of the racetrack. It's going to be a struggle bus to pass. So you're going to have to be efficient with your pit strategy, efficient with qualifying.
What's Tier 2?
Tier 2 is Reddick, Logano, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain. Bubba's a surprise to me.
Yeah, so Vegas has Bubba 17th to your 10th. Why do you have him higher, or why do you think he's higher in the model?
I think he's higher because of how well he's done at
Richmond?
Like Richmond. We included Phoenix, New Hampshire as well. So you look at that, he just runs pretty well at those tracks.
You get plus money, plus 170 for Bubba to be in the top 10. Timms, does that tickle your fancy at all?
Not really. I don't. He's not really running well. That's the thing. Bubba's kind of streaky. Like if he's running well, I think you ride him. If he's not, it's like I don't want anything to do with him.
Well, Boss Man said that he should be worried about his spot in the playoff standings this week on the podcast. So it might light a little fire under him.
It might, yeah. Is this considered a short track, or is this more of a?
It's under a mile. It's technically a short track, but I even think the 1 mile tracks are short tracks. So you get my vote.
But I should be looking more at Phoenix, New Hampshire and maybe Richmond.
Phoenix, New Hampshire, Richmond.
Okay.
Like Bubba had an average running position at Richmond of 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you who's my favorite. I have one bet on the board. I think it's the best bet. Alex Bowman, top 10.
Are we back?
We're
Bowman
back on
top
the
10
train?
again?
I think we're back on the train. It's plus money. Larson did the tire test. I know how that organization works. It'll be open data, open book to everybody. And Bowman remember when the pavement at Phoenix was newer, how good Bowman was, professor, like lap after lap after lap. So I put that into my magical gambling 8-ball and shake it around. And I think Bowman, this even could be the week that he cannonballs in for the win and upsets the whole playoff standings. But I do love a top 10 on Bowman.
So speaking of betting him to win, we have one fan, Zachary Schroet, who has a Bowman to win ticket already in his hand. So he would love that.
For this weekend?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And he got him at plus 5,000 odds.
They keep raising him and raising him. Oh, he's 44 now, but I feel like he's getting longer and longer odds.
I have him 16th.
So can we go through your third tier, Russ? Because I think it's interesting.
I'm a little. That's a good point because I have some question marks. Please.
Yeah, Blaney, Buescher, Tier 3 Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Gibbs, Barry, and Eric Jones.
That was Chase Briscoe.
Let's just go to the top there. Ryan Blaney. Vegas has him 4th.
I know. That's the biggest split on the board the other way.
Well, Ty Gibbs is 8th in Vegas too, so there's a couple. But why is it?
It's just Blaney. Look at Blaney's recent finishes. His last top 5 was at Martinsville, first off.
Ooh.
And then he only has 2 top 10 since then, and they're both seventh place finishes. One was at Sonoma, one was at Dover.
Well, he would have
Nothing
won.
relates to here.
Well, he would have won a couple weeks ago if he had gas too.
But he didn't.
But what's his history at light
I wouldn't be on
tracks?
this podcast if I'd have won all the races if I only had a little bit more gas.
Like, look at earlier this year at Richmond, he ran terrible. Like, his average running position was 23rd, finished 19th.
I'm with Professor. There's a threesome right here with Blaney, Truex, and Logano from 850 to plus 1,000. They're all ice cold. Like, and they could they could pull out a win here.
Even if they're fast, I can't. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even worth the price. Like, it's not worth it to me.
What about Gibbs?
I just think he's cooled off from what
A little chilly, man.
it was earlier this year.
Yeah, has he had a top 10?
Yeah, so he was second at Darlington, and then he was 6th at Charlotte. But other than that, it's been all outside the top 10 since Coda earlier this year.
Yeah, until they start lowering that price closer to plus 2,000, I don't even look his direction, to be honest.
And a top 10 is tough at -200. He ain't paying that.
No.
See, I like Keselowski. Did that tire test there. This just seems like his kind of track. He's got, I think, 3 Xfinity wins here, and he's plus 1,200.
Yeah. So another fan tweeted us, Nathan McGee. He took your advice. Brad K at 1,200, no brainer, given he did the tire test. So he's listening to the pod.
Yeah, listen, that's not a bad bet. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it's this week, but we have one more long shot before the playoffs. We got one more coming. I don't know who it's going to be.
It better be Bowman for
Bubba.
your sake.
What's that?
It better be Bowman for your sake.
Oh, please.
That dinner's gonna be tasteful, Russ.
I already have one this weekend. Friday night, I already have a reservation.
Oh, his open table. He's at mid-season form on open table already. We're week 1, and we had a boop right across the bow.
Are we going 2 steaks?
We might.
Don't you worry. I'll have the table food ordered. There'll be no room for a second steak.
It's a $4 sign restaurant, so I'm excited for Stevie's steak.
Tim's, any other drivers you're looking at to bet on to win?
Yeah, based off even Russ's model, Chase Elliott being 5th and he's 18-1, I kind of like that. And NASCAR tweeted out that stat that he hasn't finished outside the top 20 all year. I mean, he's won a race, obviously, but I feel like he's kind of due to dominate a race, you know? I think it's time.
That was a good stat they had, too.
He is tipping towards one of my playoff favorites to go deep into the playoffs.
Why is that?
Because if you look at the last couple years, I think the mindset has shifted a little where you have to be great in the last 6 or 8. And I think that he's good enough in all of them, learning in all of them. And I don't know, something about this team tells me they're going to get hot at the right time.
They're already hot.
They're good. They're not hot. Hot is where Larson and Bell and the guys with multiple wins are. They're consistent, for sure. All right, so you like Elliott. Who else you like?
I mean, the tire testers, Bell, Larson, Keselowski. I like Buescher, too, because it's kind of Keselowski. This kind of seems like a Chris Buescher track.
Yep.
He won here in Xfinity.
The information is probably shared similar to with Bowman, kind of, right? You're thinking?
Hey, and I'll actually have to say that other than the road courses where Mr. Keselowski is maybe not a premier road racer, self-admittedly, I think. I'm not saying anything he wouldn't admit. I believe that the 2 RFK cars look the most similar top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they stink together. They are really good together. They're 10th together. They just that's a good-looking koozie right there. Cover the mountains. Good-looking koozie. We should start giving those away. I just found a case of those Letarte koozies in my basement. We should start giving them away to some listeners.
Yeah.
We should.
I'll give them away, Trav, if you do all the work of shipping them out.
All right, we can do that. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No. So I just think that, RFK, they're very similar. So if there's anywhere, to your point, Tampa, that, the information goes back and forth and it just suits both drivers for whatever reason, they seem like they know how to correlate a setup for both drivers to run very similar, especially at the ovals. They're very similar.
Yeah, I like 18-1 area 2 for Buescher. That's very enticing to me.
Do we have any long shot top 10s down there? Because we've had how about Justin Haley? I don't think it's his week this week, but his numbers have dropped dramatically, showing up for Rick Ware Racing. Shout out to Justin Haley being consistent enough that they had to adjust the odds.
Yeah, I have Chase Briscoe plus 170 for a top 10. He's the last guy to win here in Xfinity, I believe.
In 2019?
Yeah. So, I like him. I had Carson Hocevar circle too, but I just think because he's a good little racer, plus 550 was enticing. I don't know. It just kind of spoke to me.
So that's like a sprinkle if you do bet that one?
Maybe. I mean, I was looking down there, and I watched one of those guys with between, 550 Hocevar, 450 Suarez, 550 Gilliland, Priest. I don't know, Hocevar out of those guys, I like the best. So
I would take Suarez I would take Hocevar over Suarez. No, I feel like Suarez is cold.
Yeah, I'm out on Suarez until he shows me something. I got some top 5 guys, like for potential value, just the kind of guys that are kind of hot. Denny, he blew an engine last week, but was 5 out of 6, plus 105. Keselowski, plus 185, and Chase Elliott, plus 260. They're all kind of hitting at like a 50, 60% clip in the last 10 races. I don't know. Some value you can maybe get on those guys.
Russ, are any of those drivers ones that I remember a couple weeks ago you said bet top 5 before you do top 10? Are any of those drivers kind of in that boat? But Keselowski and Elliott?
So it's interesting when I look at the top 5.
Keselowski I would do for sure. He's got 8 top 10s this year. 7 of them are top 5s.
So 7 top 5s in 16 races. So a plus, I can't say this, but if they were all plus 185, you'd be making money.
There you go.
I like that.
I mean, Chase Elliott, he's not far behind that. He's 6 of his 10, or 6 of his 8 top 10s are top 5s.
Well, Chase Elliott, you're getting over plus 200, so you're really making money there.
There's a lot of good value on Chase, I think, this week. There's a lot of different ways you can go about betting him.
Let's talk about matchups when you talk about ways to bet them. Bowman and Briscoe, Elliott and Bell. So is that a real Elliott like plus 200 versus Bell?
I think it's a trap line.
So here's the thing. Bell should be a heavy favorite. I just don't see why they have that matchup on the board.
Well, I will say a couple weekends ago they had some plus 160. There was like one. I feel like the books are starting to kind of try to what Tampa Timms is saying, bait you into taking those.
I think it's some fandom. I don't know. There's a conspiracy theory.
Elliott and Bell heads up all year. This is going to shock some people, I think. There's been 16 Cup races. I bet it's 9-7 Bell.
11-5.
All Bell. All right, I wouldn't have that.
No, Elliott.
Ooh, wait a minute. Hold on. 11-5 Elliott.
Yes.
So here you go, Tampa. I think this is that bet. I'm going to tell you what happens in this bet. If tire testing Bell is a contender to win and runs 1-2, he beats Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Any issue, any trip up, any hookup, Mr. Top 20, Chase Elliott wins the bet.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, I say it's a trap line because I can't believe he's that much of a favorite, Bell. But in NASCAR, there really isn't such thing as a trap line because anything can happen. Denny blew an engine 2 laps in last week. I think it's
major
worth
bracket upsetter too.
Yeah, which that thing's toast for me. Just throw that in the trash. I'm Austin Dillon when it comes to this.
If you're looking for this bet, it's our fans at FanDuel have it if you want it.
So FanDuel's Elliott is plus 198. So let's just use 200 because my math isn't that good. And Bell at minus 290. I agree. It's an Elliott bet. Hamlin, Larson. I hate to be this way, but I think that's a Larson bet with the but I wouldn't take it. I would stay away from it because Hamlin could kick you in the teeth anytime
It's
he wants.
pretty much whenever you see Larson and Hamlin, you just avoid that matchup, right? Is that kind of our standard?
Totally. Logano Blaney. I'm avoiding that one too, just because the Logano tire test at Wilkesboro. I have some question marks. Truex and Byron. I don't have a good feeling there either. Professor?
That's a coin flip to me.
Now, for some reason, I like the next two, the team bets. Trackhouse versus RCR and JGR versus HMS.
I mean, Trackhouse, it's a Chastain versus Kyle Busch, right?
So I didn't bring it up here because I didn't want to get Tampa mad at me, but I think Austin Dillon's going to run good this week.
Yeah, I mean,
this is a good place for him too.
I think
You
he's
got
got
a
a lot of experience
NASCAR
here.
win
Looks
here.
like Richmond, he runs good at Richmond. I think with the repave, no, I don't think he's going to run top 10. That's why I didn't bring him up because I can't get him in the top 10. But I think he's going to run decent.
he had that top 10 a couple weeks ago. Before his problem at Sonoma, he was actually flirting with a top 10. I'll give him some credit. He's been running pretty well the last couple weeks, so no slander here.
I like HMS over JGR with plus money.
I agree. I think this should be almost heads up. I could see a minus 130 JGR, but not a minus 175. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to place the bet right now then.
HMS. Now, look, let's see if Professor agrees with this. Professor, I'm saying this is a coin flip.
100%.
So you take the plus 145 of the coin flip.
Yes. And with an hour practice, we'll get a lot of laps and be able to tell a lot of things from that hour practice.
So speaking of practice and qualifying, are there any, we didn't talk about this yet, are there any drivers that you might want to place a bet on now? Or we wait and see mode?
Great question. If you think Bowman is good, do it now. Bubba, do it now. Just because I think they're fair lines. And if they show up in practice, they are going to get cut. They're going to move up to like the Kes numbers.
And then we get a Logano situation from last week.
Totally.
100%.
Keselowski, I think he could go shorter if he's as good as he is. He's one I'd bet now. I don't think Bell and Larson are going to get any shorter.
Chase Elliott could.
I do like betting Chase Elliott now. You think so? You think you wait for practice with Chase? I think you could place him now.
I think you better pace him now because if Chase has a good practice, as popular as he is, the number will drop.
Yeah, I like 18 a lot. At 12, I don't know if I like it as much.
That's a great way to put it, Tam. 12, it starts to not look as tasty.
Yeah, and that top 5.
I tell you where I like, though. I like top Ford Keselowski plus 380. I think it's another bet on the board. Just from the tire test alone. He's got to beat Blaney, Logano, Buescher, Barry. I mean, there's real battles there, but you're talking plus 380 top Ford. You can only get him plus 185. You got plus 350 top 3. So you get him better than top 3. And I don't see another Ford in the top 3. Now, it could be one Ford, but it's not going to be 2. So before I took a top 3 bet, or even before I took a top 5 bet, I saw you have top 5 highlighted at plus 185. I would say you could consider splitting that in the middle. Say you were going to put a unit on top 5, put a half a unit on top 5, half a unit on top Ford.
So your mindset with the top Ford is you're kind of just breaking this down into a matchup or a group kind of bet.
Well, so let's just talk about it like this. Let me open my phone back up and find my predictor. Here's what I would say. Does any of this shock you? Okay, tell me if you're concerned yet. Or you think this is a farce. Chevy Larson 1, Toyota Hamlin 2, Toyota Bell 3, Toyota Truex 4, Elliott Chevy 5. I'm going to skip the next one on the predictor. Byron Chevy 6, Reddick Toyota 7. Would any of you say that's impossible for those 7 to run like that?
No.
Brad's the highest Ford on the predictor. He is close to Logano. He's a tier different, but here's one better. He's 2 tiers away from his next Ford competitor. So I just feel that Kez top Ford is, and here's why. I'm not saying he's going to be top 4. It's plus 380. I mean, he's getting almost 4-1. I mean, look at the Fords. Like, I think it's a good bet. I like
What
it.
about Buescher though at 6-1?
So bet that also.
I don't hate that either, but
Do you do it? You could bet both though and win.
yeah, you could even put a little bit on both of those.
You do a 1 unit on Keselowski and a half on Buescher.
I don't know. I'm going to let Timms decide, but I do think that you have to look at the top Ford as a place to take those 2 guys if you like them.
I like the split half unit of top Ford, Keselowski top 5, personally.
Yep, I do too. And I think I'm on Kez over Buescher.
I think so too. Yeah.
What about top Toyota?
I ain't touching that. No way, no how. Should be
Yeah.
Bell. Hamlet could come off after blow up and fly. Truex could fly.
Professor?
I'll tell you what. I don't.
I like Truex.
More than just like because you have to, or
Well, just
We know you like Truex, but go ahead and just a little bit more expand, can you?
well, he's plus 500 as best Toyota, and you saw what happened to Hamlin last week. Bell has been streaky all year. We're saying that this is just like Richmond, and Truex has been lights out at Richmond. So I don't think that's a bad bet there.
I will tell you another bet on the board that you can laugh at me all you want, Timms, but I'd put a half unit on JGR and a half unit on HMS to win.
Winning team.
You're taking those 8 cars at plus money.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not bad on paper. Plus money. They're never attractive to me. I don't know why. I probably should look there more, but
Well, here's why, though, because normally one of those is a big minus.
it is
But the
true.
fact that they're a little bit more pluses is why I think the average works this time, right? Like if you put them together, you're basically averaging at like a 150, a plus 150 on your money. So if you took $10 for math, you put $5 on Joe Gibbs Racing and 5 on HMS. If HMS won, you would cash out basically $31 and lose 5. You'd be plus 26. If Joe Gibbs Racing won, you'd cash out. Well, you'd cash out like $13 or something, like $8 in profit. I mean, I just think.
so. We're gonna get to this a little later, but Tim's, you're not a big fan of where you bet on a few and you're just kind of waiting to see how it plays out, are you?
Oh, he's not the Chopper. Chopper will fire darts from here to Georgia.
Well, so I've got a golf bet that we'll tease now, but it's a little more than this. But Tim's I think likes to be a little more precise.
Well, I told Travis we'll talk about more with the golf bet. It's a lot of something to make nothing. Like it's a lot of
That is
moving
true.
things to do nothing, and I don't like that. Now, what you're saying, Stevie, you're making a little bit more than nothing technically, but so it's not terrible, but it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of hedging for your best outcome to be I could make $8 or something like that. So
I mean, here's the better way to do it. If I said, hey, man, because I'm a numbers guy, right? So I actually wouldn't put a half and a half, as screwed up as this is going to sound. I put like 0.4 on HMS and 0.6 on Joe Gibbs Racing, if you really want to get in the numbers. But basically, if I said, hey, man, I'll give you Joe Gibbs Racing and HMS versus the field at plus 150.
yeah, it's enticing. To have 8 cars, it's enticing. I'm not going to lie. The 8 cars thing, you might have sold me.
We got it.
But,
We got him, man. I chummed it.
but because
Kept chumming
both
the
those
water,
teams
kept
are at the
chopping it
tire
up.
test,
Kept stirring the water.
they're both at the tire test. I mean, they're going to have great cars, all 8 of them. So
How about the double top 10 parlays? Do any of those interest you? I see a lot of minuses. There's a lot of unknowns. Does anything – top 10's interesting, though.
the Elliott Buescher one at plus 170 is that range where I like it. That's the Tampa Timms sweat. But I actually don't think I'd sweat on that one. I think they're both going to fit nicely in the top 10.
I like that. I like that. I like that. How about finishing positions? We've heard some drivers' feelings, and then they cannonballed in and said, "You don't know what you're talking about. Take that," and it was A+. Loved it.
I've got
Great
one.
banter.
Todd Gilliland, over under is 21.5. The model has him 29th. What do we say?
I got to avoid it because I can't take another shot at front row. So I gotta.
Well, which way do you go? Because he's been running pretty well recently.
Yeah, the last 5 races, the under would pay.
So like you could fit the over between 21 and 20 or 22 and 29, but he could finish under, you know? Well, 29 being like that's what the thing would be, but I don't know.
I will tell you, there's one bet we haven't got to over in the props that I like, and it's because it's plus money. It's a little aggressive. It probably needs to be like a plus 120, but can we get over 3.5 Toyotas in the top 10? The struggle I have with this is if you're really looking for 2311 help. Because, no offense, but 4 Gibbs cars would be a hell of a top 10. But I got Reddick right there on the outskirts, right? So it's like, man, I think you could get 4 in there. I like it at plus 120. I don't think I'm as enticed at plus 105.
I like that. That plus 120. I don't like plus
I didn't even
105.
take any chump.
What about Chase Elliott, average 8.5? So these are different books, obviously, but his top 10 is minus 140. 8.5 is minus 105.
I would give up 9th and 10th for 105 for sure.
Especially on the heels of what Professor said with how many top 5s he's had.
I mean, it's 20 cents to buy the hook in most games.
So let me ask you this then.
We'll explain that to you here in a couple months. That's a little advanced for you so far, but we'll bring 20 cents to buy the hook in about September. Don't you worry.
Oh, we're
not
getting
gonna
so
leave you
close.
out of this conversation.
Get so close.
Yeah, all of his top 10s this year have been 8th or better. So,
Ooh. Oh no.
I mean, before I took him top 10, I would take the under at 105.
So would you go the 8.5 at minus 105, or would you just go top 5 at plus 260?
Oh, plus 5 or plus 260 at top 5. That's too nice of a price, I think. I'll take the 3 positions. That's like Steve said, that's what 15, 20 cents that you can get. 10 cents on a hook. I mean, that's a lot of upside for a top 5.
Anything else on Sunday? Because I want to get to golf, but I want to run through Xfinity real quick.
I mean,
Whatever Professor does.
I say we go to golf unless Professor's got
Hold
something.
on. We got Allgaier who's led everything. So I think Allgaier has another win coming. I think he has 1 win with the best. I mean, he's been so good this year with only 1 win. Surely at some point it's coming. He's only 3-1. It's hard to bet him. Nemechek 3-1.
Professor, who's Ross Chastain? What car is he in this week?
I think he's in that 92.
Because he's 11th.
Yeah, I think that's that 92 car.
If any books try to suck you in on the battle between SVG and Hill, which I think will happen, I think they love the storylines. I don't care if Hill is minus 300. Take him, because SVG is not going to outrun Hill at an oval with Hill running. Now
So
look, Hill can always wreck. Don't get me wrong; it's not a lock, but running, he will not outrun SVG this weekend. Oh, excuse me, SVG will not outrun Hill this weekend. All right, let's get it. Dun, 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 dun. Pinehurst, North Carolina, ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. Golf Open.
So, we mentioned putting your money in a lot of places, hoping to make money. I sent you guys a text yesterday, right as the news broke of John Rahm withdrawing. I went to Top Spaniard. He was still on the board. I then went and fired bets at the 3 others. So I got Eugenio, I don't know how to pronounce the last name, at plus 900. I got David Puig at plus 400 and Sergio at plus 300. If Sergio wins, we go home even. If the other 2 win, I make money. What do we think of this bet?
It'll get voided.
It's still on here.
Doesn't matter. It gets voided. It's a great bet. It gets voided.
But so I've gone into it. If you go to the nationality, you can still bet on those guys. Now the numbers have dropped drastically. You still think it's gonna get voided?
I think at the time you did it, like 3 minutes before they took it off. I think so.
So that's part of the reason I did it is I want to see if it in fact gets voided.
Oh yeah, that one gets voided.
I have a first round Scotty Scheffler bet.
So to put in perspective, currently Sergio's plus 109. How do I say it? Puig
Puig, I don't know.
plus 150, and Lopez Shikara, probably butchering that, plus 354.
Yeah. I think it's worth it.
Okay.
And I also, Scotty Scheffler, first round, top 20, minus 120.
I don't hate it.
I feel like right now, you just bet Scotty, and if for some reason you lose it, you're whatever.
So I'm telling you, man, this is a real crazy bet, but I'm just gonna go and say it.
Let's hear it.
I think Tiger's gonna be really good Thursday.
We discussed this.
I think that he's gonna be fresh. Age doesn't hurt your creativity, and around the greens, I mean, you saw him on social media. He's using this little 4-iron bumper, and like, I don't see any rain in the future. And everything I've seen on social media, it is slippery. I mean, these greens were designed to roll like 8. They're rolling 13. I mean, they're like 10% usable. These greens are so fast.
So what's he going to score on round 1?
So his over-under is 73.5, par is 70.
He's going to shoot. He's going to be better than 73.5 on round 1 for sure. Under.
So I have 72.5. What book are you on? That's
To be honest, I forget which book. I'll research. To miss the cut, Tiger I saw is like minus 330. Heavy.
So here's the problem I have with him. If he has a great round 1 and stays on the grass, he's okay. But if he keeps firing it out into the sand, you start to walk in that sand, he's going to get tired quick with that leg.
Did you see where the different runoff spots for right now for practice, they've put covers over it? They don't want golfers going over there and messing up those certain areas where the ball might run off into some bad spots.
Some wiregrass.
It's going to be.
But I also winning score. I went over 27, 274 and a half over.
What would that be?
That'd be 5 under. 280's par.
Went over that.
So I like the bet, but my fear is you get a rain shower and it softens the place up. It's a shooting match.
It's supposed to be really, really hot this weekend.
It's supposed to be a nice weekend.
Like 90s, high 90s.
Can a live
I
tour
have
player win the tournament?
Ooh,
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh,
Can
speaking
one?
of live.
Yes.
I can get yes at plus 450.
Well, you don't have a lot of fire in it with Rom gone. That's why.
So I did bet. This was also right before the news broke. I bet Koepka, and I took Bryson for top live golfer.
well,
plus
I got a couple top favorites, top 20s. Can I fire them out there to you?
Oh, yeah.
Fire away.
I like top 20 out of JT Poston. Hickory guy, a lot of support. I think he's going to be well supported.
You know support doesn't help you putt and chip, right?
I'm just telling you. He's plus 450.
Okay, what else you got?
I like another top 20 out of – I'm scrolling through my bets to make sure I tell you they're all the ones. I like the Irish players around these greens. So I like both Shane Lowry and Robert McIntyre. And if I apologize if one of those is technically Scottish or Irish or English, I get them all confused.
Our United Nations parlay didn't hit for PGA. But, Tim's, do you have one this week?
I do have one. It is the not so U.S. Open parlay because they're all not from the U.S. But we are going back to Oberg. He's
Jesus.
Top Swede. I put in Mingwoo Lee, top Oceania. And then Dean Burmeister, Mean Dean, top African. That thing pays out. It's plus 1,816. Plus 1,816. I'm riding with it. I already put it in.
I got one more name, top 20. Sorry, Nick Dunlap.
Okay. I like
AM
him.
winner at Pinehurst.
Top 20, you said?
Yep, and here's why I like him too. I think that he's going to pull off something for those greens. Like I just think it's one of them. You know, we talk about Augusta green complexes, and we talk about it a lot because we have the Masters every year. Well, I think if there was a pro that Pinehurst was like their home course, they would become an instant favorite to me. I think it's just you're going to have to be so creative on how to get the ball in the right spots because you're going to hit great shots that roll bad. That's why I don't like any player, like, no offense, that's my problem I have with Garcia is I think his temper will get him because I think too many good shots will end up in the wrong spot, and his temper, he'll lose it.
Spaniards in general, I think.
One
all
just
like that.
quit. Little
Yeah.
infection in the foot, man. He just threw the towel in. You know he has to be really hurting to quit because he's a tough-looking son of a gun.
And it's a major. It's not like it's, a random golf tournament. Professor, what do you have in your bets?
Okay, you ready? I got a lot.
Sit back,
You
boys and
should
girls.
see, listen, for you guys that are listening only, you should see the enthusiasm on Tampa's face when Russ goes, I got a lot.
If you
So
want to
I
watch
just
it,
nailed several of yours, Stevie, just because we'll be together this weekend, so I can.
no,
just,
he did it just so that when it doesn't hit, he can give you shit. That's the only reason. He's not doing it because he believes in you, Steve. He does it because he wants to give you shit.
That's true. I got Scotty, Xander, and McElroy, all to make the cut. Plus,
What's the number?
minus 300.
Minus 300?
Yep. Just to make the cut, man.
But Steve, can you help me here?
I actually like the bet, so don't look at me. I'm getting ready to jump on with him.
I got Shane Lowry to finish top 40, minus 120.
Another great bet.
It's a good bet.
I got Tiger to shoot under 73.5, minus 155. Now let's go to my other book. Then I did the Panthers bet, is in here. Hideki, top Asian. Hideki, top Japanese player. And Scotty, round 1 leader.
The Hideki one's got me nervous.
No way. I'm riding it. He did well a couple weeks ago for me.
I do have one more. I've got Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley, top 40, plus 109.
It's got a great name.
It's just fire.
All right, Stevie, I'll see you there. We got to go.
All right, we got to get our man back out on the beach, guys. It's a big weekend. We're going to see Iowa for the first time in a cup car. NBC, we're back on. Tune in, USA. It's a USA weekend all weekend long. And don't be afraid to watch a little golf from Pinehurst. We got the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. It's going to be Sweat City for Tampa Timms. Lots of bets, lots of action. Get all your bets in, and may all your bets pay off.